What is the Templeton Group financial planning process? Hello, and welcome to the My Father Said podcast, where we discuss all things faith, finance, and family. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. I'm both the father and the son.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert. I am Ryan's father and my dad's son.
That's right. And today we want to talk to you guys about the financial planning process here at the Templeton Group. You may find that as you are looking for advisors or firms or financial planning, each firm, each group is going to have their own financial planning process. They're going to have their own way of doing things. And we wanted to talk to everybody about what it is that we do here.
Yeah. So Ryan, what we're going to do today, because our process is really a 10-step process, on today's podcast, we're going to discuss the first 5.
Yeah.
And then the next podcast, we will do the following 5 at that point in time. Now, what is important about a process when it comes to financial planning? Well, we go back to an earlier episode that we did on one of our podcasts where we discussed the differences between the investor and the planner. We had made mention that the unique difference between the two is that when a person is just investing money, they really don't have a hard object to measure their progress against. They're just looking at returns for the most part. Am I exceeding a return, and is that return satisfactory to them? And again, there's really no basis for what they're putting the measurement against. Whereas in planning, you're actually sitting down and you are determining an objective that you want to reach, and you actually have the ability to measure your plan's progress relative to the objective that you want to achieve. So here at the Templeton Group, as we know, financial planning is our bread and butter. This is how we really help our clients out. And we have a process. When you come into our offices, you will see it in every office. You will see our process in our foyer. We have it listed for everybody to come in and see. It's not a top secret. Some of this stuff that we're going to mention, you may have heard before on other financial planning podcasts. Some of it, we tweaked it for our own way of doing things here. But what we want to do is have a process that people can follow. And the very first thing, whenever a person comes in to speak to us about doing financial planning, we immediately turn the question right back around and we ask them this: what is your lifestyle number? That generally, when we ask that question, we get what we call down here in the South, the deer in the headlight look. It's like, what are you talking about lifestyle number? Well, essentially this, the definition of a lifestyle number, if you can, just imagine you got paid $1,000 a week. Mm-hmm. That's your paycheck. The lifestyle number is what percentage of that $1,000 a week are you actually living off of?
Right.
Now, that means that you are paying your bills with, you're doing all of your social enjoyment things, everything that you're doing short of saving money.
Right.
So if a person comes in and they say, yeah, my lifestyle number is, 950. Yeah. Well, then basically their lifestyle is 95%. All right. So that's the first thing we try to do. And we don't really care where a person's at with their lifestyle number when they come in the door, because everyone is somewhere.
Right.
And not everybody's at the same place. But what we try to help our clients do, first and foremost, is identify just how much money out of their paycheck are they required to live off of, based off of their debt ratio, based off of their consumptions, based off of their leisure activities, things of that nature. So another way of saying it is that the lifestyle number is, as like a lot of old timers would say, live on less than you earn or spend less than you earn. That's kind of a concept of what is your lifestyle number. But what we like to make it into is a game, so that when our clients come in the door, they know what their lifestyle number is once they leave. And then from that point forward, every time they come in, we discuss their lifestyle number, and if they find out they were at 95, our goal is to get them down to 90.
Yeah.
And then get them down to 85, 80, as low as they want to go, so that the difference is that if they're living on 50, then the other 50 they can actually put aside to their investment objectives for their future.
Right.
So that's the first thing we do. The lifestyle number is the very first thing that we discuss with our clients. And again, when people come in here for the very first time, they generally have no idea until we lay out the numbers and look at them. And then once we have that, that's our starting point.
Yeah.
And that's our step one. That's it's a fun number. I enjoy that number.
Yeah. And then another thing to keep in mind about that lifestyle number is, the normal trajectory of work here in America is the longer you're in some sort of employment, you're probably going to make more money. That's normally how that goes. And so one of the important things is figure out what that lifestyle number is before you got all this extra income, because if you don't decide ahead of time, hey, 20 is my number or 30 is my number, as you get a pay increase, then the number goes from 30 to 40% or whatever. They use all of that extra income on lifestyle. So it's very, very important to say, okay, hey, this is what I'm going to live off of. This is the percentage. And then as the income increases, you're not increasing the lifestyle.
Well, you're not increasing the lifestyle without knowing you're increasing the lifestyle. Because the advantage of knowing your lifestyle number is that whenever you do get these increases, you can make a conscious decision with this increase that I now have. Am I going to increase my lifestyle?
Oh, yeah.
Or am I going to redirect this increase towards a debt or my savings or my giving, whatever it might be? What am I going to do with this number? And you do that consciously because you are knowing in advance what your lifestyle number is. And the lifestyle number is, by definition, also the number you choose to have for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Some people live on 80% all their life. Well, if that's what they want to do, that's what they do.
Right.
Some people live on much less than that. I know people who live on 20 and less, and they're socking aside a gold mine money.
Yeah.
So for their future. So it all depends. Again, that's a good point you're making. As your income goes up over time, with planning purposes, you can also plan, well, how much of this increase am I going to increase my lifestyle, or am I going to direct it someplace else?
Right, yeah. Because if you don't have that lifestyle number before that, then basically what happens is everything goes towards lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hey, if you're planning and the plan is, hey, as I get this increase, I'm going to increase my lifestyle. Okay, at least you've got the number, but a lot of the time people don't plan, and so then they The Richest Man in Babylon. It has a story in there where the guy Arcad, the richest man in Babylon, is talking to his audience, and he said that the needs for your gold will always increase unless you protest to the contrary. And so if you're not saying, no, hey, this is enough, then everything's going to go to lifestyle.
Absolutely. So that is a true statement.
So that's the first step. The second step is fully fund the emergency fund. And what the emergency fund is as you are trying to accumulate wealth, as you're trying to plan for the future, there are going to be road bumps. Murphy's Law. If something bad can happen, it will happen. And so as we are going through life, things are going to happen. And if we do not have a cash reserve to pay for those emergency, then the default is, I'm going to get a credit card.
Yeah. Yeah. A good definition of emergency is like, I go to Starbucks to get a thing of coffee and I put my vehicle in park, and then I go to pull off and my vehicle won't move. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, that happened to me this morning. So, yeah.
You didn't plan on your truck breaking down at Starbucks?
No, and that honestly, that's my fault because it is a 2009 truck, and I've done quite a bit of work on it already. So honestly, that's my fault.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me speak on the emergency thing here for a second. Now, here's something that it's a conversation that I strongly encourage married couples to engage in when it comes to an emergency fund. And here's why. Money is one of the main reasons why marriages fail. Or lack of money, or not agreement with money, or not enough money, or even too much money. I mean, money always seems to be involved somewhere. When infidelity isn't in the picture, money always seems to be somewhere where it's involved in marriages failing. What we like to say to our clients is to do the following. It's a fun exercise, and do the following. Tell the man of the house, take him a sheet of paper, go into a room by himself and sit down with it. Tell the woman of the house to go into a room, not with the man, but go into a room by herself with a sheet of paper, and each one of them individually just write down their list of what they would consider a true blue emergency. And the reason I say that is because the man's going to have some things on there that the woman would not think of, and vice versa. All right. Your mom would have never, ever thought that getting a shiny piece of chrome on the Harley Davidson I had would have been an emergency. Well, and so there it is. But anyway, what we have them do after they do this exercise, we get them to come back together. And then what we identified is this. The common items that's on both of their list, well, then those are no-brainers. Those are true blue emergencies that they agree upon, that if this happens, we're going to go pull from the emergency reserves to pay for this.
Right.
If it's not on that list, it's not an emergency.
Right. Yeah.
Then what they do is what's unique to the gentleman and what's unique to the lady. They can kind of discuss these things, and they can say, hey, is this going to be an emergency or not? If they decide it's not, it's not. If they say, well, it is, well, then add it to the list.
Yeah.
And then what you do in the future, when the future happens, you determine real quickly when something happens that wasn't planned financially. If it's not on that list, well, then they must discuss it.
Right. Yeah.
If it is on the list and you've got the money in the emergency fund, that's what it was there for.
Yeah.
So that's an exercise we like to get our clients to do for no other reason than just to get them on the same sheet of music financially when it comes to understanding what an emergency is. It will cut down on some heated discussions in the house, and it would probably be a fun exercise as well. And, the sheet isn't locked in stone.
Right.
Something's literally going to happen down the road that was on neither one of them's list that probably is an emergency.
Like not being able to get your car out of park in a drive-through.
Well, that probably should have been on the list.
That should have been.
Yeah, that probably should have been on the list. But, so that's one thing. And then, of course, the amount of money that they should have. All right, the amount of money that they should have. We recommend in the emergency fund about $2,000. Right. Some people do $1,000. Some do a little bit more. But it's true blue emergency. And then, of course, this $2,000 does not include your insurance deductible.
Right. So, yeah. Yep. So for the emergency fund, it is $2,000. That's what we recommend over and above premiums. So we're talking about homeowners insurance. If you don't have that escrow, we're talking about health insurance. We're talking about your auto stuff. All of those deductibles, you want to have that over and above that $2,000. And then the other thing that is just extremely important to the success of the emergency fund, or step number 2, is when you have to pull money out of the emergency fund, you stop everything that you're doing and replenish the emergency fund back up to whatever that number is, whether it be 2,000, a little more, a little less.
That's right, because we do not want to have an emergency with the emergency fund. Yeah, that just blows everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't want that. We absolutely don't want that. All right, our third step that we recommend to our clients is if you work with an employer who provides a optional retirement savings plan, that provides a match. That would be a 401k.
Right.
That would be a simple IRA. Whatever plan is that your employer offers, we absolutely encourage you, and we stand up and we wave the flags on this to try to get you to, at the very least, get started and take advantage of all of the match, because the match is free money.
Free money.
Yeah, free money. And free money is almost as good as free money. All right. I mean, it's the craziest thing. If you're working for me and I'm going to say, hey, Ryan, for every $10 you put into your retirement, I'm going to put in $10 to match it. And you say, no, I don't want that. Well, I can't help you. All right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, if I say to you, Ryan, for every dollar that you put into retirement, up to $10, I'm going to put in $10, and you say, well, I'm only going to put in $2. I'm going to look at you like you've lost your mind, right? Because you're leaving $8 off the table that you're not going to get. So we absolutely encourage our clients to take advantage of their employer plan up to the match to begin with. Now, when you come back next week to the next podcast, you're going to understand why we're saying up to the match.
Yeah.
Because we have a strategy that we like to discuss with our clients if they're eligible for it, for the overage of that. But right here, right off the bat, if your employer is providing you a match, you've got to put in, if it's 5% match, you got to put in 5. If it's 6, you put in 6. If it's 1, you put in 1. Whatever their number is, you put in your number to match it. Get all of the free money you can, because there's nothing out there. That's a 100% return on your money that day.
Yes, that's another thing to highlight about the free money that we're calling it, is you have effectively had a 100% rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the market does 5%, you've had a 105. Or on the downside, let's say the market's down 20%, you've had an 80% return. Yeah, like people want to talk about, chasing returns. Hey, I want to beat the market. The market did 10. I want to do 11, or I want to do just as well as the market. Look at your 401k, because you're getting 100% return right there.
Yeah, and if you recall, Ryan, when we did our millionaire study last year, fully 95% of our millionaires, their first million that they made came from their employer-sponsored retirement. And it had everything to do with the match.
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, whenever you're getting the employer match, we don't forget proper allocation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes no sense if you're 25, 30 years old and all of your money is going into a guaranteed type cash account, well, then your best ally, which is time, you're not taking advantage of.
Right. Yeah.
So there's more to it than just getting the match. You want to get the match, and your allocations need to be in line with your investment objective. So that's what we would say. That's one thing that we would say to do as well.
Step 4 is basically coming off of building on top of step number 2. So step number 2 was fully fund the emergency fund. Step 4 is having 3 to 6 months of living expenses over and above the emergency fund and the deductibles. The reason that is important, the reason that is something that we've added in here, is life happens. People lose jobs. People decide to, like, for example, me and Alexia decided when we had kids, hey, I'm going to stay home. Or we decided that she was going to stay home. And so that cut our income down.
No.
And
she decided, you agreed.
That's we compromised and did what she wanted. That's
yeah.
So she stayed home. That cut the income down, but we had 3 to 6 months living expenses saved up. So if that happened, we were able to take it on the chin. And so that's one of the things that we recommend, is having that 3 to 6 months of expenses in the event someone loses a job or willingly decides to leave a job. Now, the 3 to 6 months of living expenses is just that. It's not 3 to 6 months of your income. It's 3 to 6 months of living expenses. What do you have to pay to keep the lights on? What do you have to pay to keep food on the table? What do you have to pay to keep, the air conditioning running and clothes on your kids' back?
Yeah, and if you go back to the very first point, your lifestyle number.
Uh-huh.
So your living expenses is your lifestyle number.
Right.
All right, short of some of your splurge. So if your lifestyle number is 95, well, then it's going to take almost all of the income you were earning to meet your living expenses. But if you are self-controlled, if you are intentional, and you recognize that if you can lower your lifestyle number without living like a miser,
Right.
without living like at night you turn the lights off and light up candles in the house, nothing like that. But as you get to the point to where, let's say your lifestyle number was 60, well then if you lose your job, then it's probably a lot more breathing room with a lifestyle number of 60 than it was with a lifestyle number of 95.
Right. Yeah.
While you're waiting to find employment elsewhere. So that lifestyle number, we like to make it a game so that theoretically, each time you come in to see us, we should be able to find a way to lower your lifestyle number. Heck, if we go from 95 to 94,
It's a win.
that's progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, now if you go from 95 to 96,
They're backwards.
something's not working right here.
Yeah.
And we have to look at that. But yeah, the 3 to 6 months living expenses, you're correct with that. It is your actual expenses, your groceries, your light bill, your diapers, gasoline, just the things that you've got to have to survive. And of course, during that time frame, if you're planning on going on a vacation or something like that, you probably maybe need to set that off to the side.
Right.
Because that's not a lifestyle number. That's a luxury that, frankly, if you're out of work, you can't afford.
Yeah. And that's something else that we have seen, as people start the financial planning process and they start to save money in the emergency fund, or they start to save up 3 to 6 months, and all of a sudden they've got a decent amount of cash sitting in the bank. There's so many things that turn from, man, I kind of want this, to, hey, we need this, or we need to spend the money on it. And that becomes what people end up pulling it out of. So again, going back to, the lifestyle thing, unless you protest to the contrary, you're always going to find multiple uses for your money.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Yeah, we got that pool at the house. And
Was that on the emergency show?
no, that wasn't on the emergency suite. That was on the relentless pounding of your mind, who over the years has just beaten me into submission to where we finally got it. So the other night she came in, I'm telling her, all right, the pool's that responsibility. You have to do all kind of maintenance, stuff like that. And so I think your mom was thinking the skimming thing was like skim once and you're done. Well, you come out there the next day, there's bugs out there floating around again, skim them again, they're gone. So she was talking to one of her nieces, and the niece had made mention to her about a skimmer that has an arm on it that grabs the varmints that are floating on top of the water. Now, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what she's seen, but all of a sudden that has become a need,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we just go out there with the net and grab them up that way, or swim with our mouth open and just swallow them.
That is one way to do it. Or you got grandkids, they probably eat them.
Well, yeah, that too. That would work fine. But yeah, there's this difference between this need and want and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the way we live. That is the way we live. So yeah, 3 to 6 months living expenses. And the fifth one, the final one we're going to discuss today, is another option of exercising studious, intentional strategy. three nice words when it comes to this, which is your debt. Obviously, we try to get our clients, whenever they get close to retiring, ideally they have no debt.
Right.
They're living on 100% of their lifestyle, whatever that might be, and that lifestyle would not have any debt carried along with it. But along the way, in this country, chances are you're going to have debt at some time in your life.
Right.
And you're probably going to carry debt for quite some time,
Yep.
depending on how you work with that lifestyle number. Well, one of the things that we recommend that you do right now is you begin strategically and intentionally paying off your high interest debt.
Yeah.
We want you to get that goal because that will eat away at your potential to grow. I mean, if you've got credit cards and you carry imbalances and your credit card rate is 21.99% or something like that, well, if you were to sit there and look at your credit card on one hand, look at your investments on the other, if your credit card is always at 21.99, your investments are not always at 21.99. They are fluctuating.
Right. Yeah.
And you cannot say with any consistency that they are at 21.99 hardly ever. So if you're carrying high interest debt like that, you're actually losing ground.
Yeah.
So you got to be absolutely gung-ho, sold out when it comes to wanting to get your high interest debt eliminated. You want it gone. You want to get your automobile loans gone. The only thing that's not included in this particular step is your mortgage, because your mortgage is generally this massive number sitting off to the side, and your other debts aren't anywhere near that, hopefully.
Yeah. And then also with the mortgage, normally the mortgage rate is less than 20%.
Oh, yeah.
So it stinks having a $300,000 mortgage or whatever, but it being at 5, 6, or 7%, you still want to pay off a credit card that's 14, 15, 16, 21%.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's right. So that's 5 of the 10 steps that we utilize when it comes to our process of financial planning. Next time we get together, we're going to go through steps 6 through 10, and they are pretty much in this order. This is the order we tell people to do them in. We don't say, hey, let's go with 5 and then go back to 2 and then go to 8.
Right.
No, we want you to begin with your lifestyle number. The reason being is, if you remember in an earlier podcast, we discussed the dangers of meeting your neighbor at the fence that separates your yards and having conversations about your investments.
Mm-hmm.
And one neighbor's going to say, well, I did 11%.
Right.
And you're over there, you did 8 3/4. And you're thinking, well, why is he doing 11 and I'm only doing 8 3/4? Well, my broker, he must not be as good as my neighbor's broker. And that's the wrong way to measure, because what you don't know is that your neighbor might be exposed to a significant amount more of volatility.
Right.
Whereas your portfolio may not be, so you're not really comparing apples to apples. In fact, you should never compare your investments to anybody else's. The only thing that you should compare your investments to is your plan.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to know your number, your objective, where you want to go, because when you've got these things, then we're able to come in and develop a strategy that you can follow so that you don't have to hope we know what we're doing. You can actually measure your progress against your objective, not our objective.
Right. Yeah.
And that way, you don't have to worry about that conversation. In fact, when you hear other people out there having that conversation about that investments, you can sit back and take a sip off of your coffee and just smile, because you recognize this. Those clowns over there, they have no idea where they're going. You sitting there drinking your coffee, listening to them, you know exactly where you're going.
And they're probably not taking the employer match either.
Yeah,
and you are. You're sitting there with your coffee getting 100% return.
That's right. You are. You're sitting there with your coffee getting 100% return. And if you're riding with Ryan, you're stuck at Starbucks because your truck is broke down over there.
Yeah, I would not recommend driving a 2009 GMC Sierra or riding with me. I wouldn't recommend either one of those.
All right. Well, that's kind of all we got today.
Yep.
So, Ryan, won't you take them home, tell them where to find us, tell them how to subscribe, tell them all that good stuff.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, let me share something with you.
Did I tell you that your mom, she has started listening to the podcast? All right. And she would look at them on YouTube. Your mom was liking them, but she didn't realize.
Oh, I can subscribe.
Yeah, she didn't understand what the subscribing part was.
Yeah.
And she said, do I need to do that? So
Only if you love us.
yeah. So why don't you share with our listeners the value of subscribing?
Yeah. So if you are enjoying the podcast, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, whatever, if you want to get notifications when episodes come out, there's a subscribe button you can click on our channel, and you'll get notifications when the videos come out, and you'll be able to watch it. It'll be on in its own little bookmark tab over on the side where you can pull us up. Yeah. But anyway, with that being said, that was part 1 of the 2-part series on what is the Templeton Group financial planning process. If you've got questions, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, shoot us an email. We'll get you squared away. But until next time, I'm Ryan.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
And this has been the My Father Said podcast.
Hey, get out of here. We'll see you next time.
The opinions voiced in this video are for general information only and are not specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful.